Jimmy High Roller, baby, remaking the NBA GOAT tier list. I hope to see Stephen Curry at tier 2, if not tier 1, baby. He deserves it.
About 3 years ago, I released my GOAT pyramid, featuring
3
30
years
of
ago.
what I believe.
Bro, 3 years has gone by so fast. I remember I sent this to my chief, and he was like, he kind of agreed. But bro, seeing Curry at tier 4, 3 years later, tier 2.
To be the greatest NBA players of all time. And it's okay, but it could
It changed.
It could use some work. So today, we're going to be updating the NBA GOAT pyramid.
Jimmy, baby.
Today's video is brought.
You guys miss Jimmy using trap sacks for his videos, bro. It sucks. That like one video has like 5 million views, but trap sacks got copyrighted, and then he lost all the money to that video. That's got to be fucking heart-wrenching.
Instagram. And I only know this because people were tagging me in the comments thinking it was mine, but it's not.
No.
The dead giveaway was LeBron being on tier 3. Also, current day Steph on tier 4 was a massive red flag, and a pretty solid player by the name of Hakeem Olajuwon was nowhere to be found on this pyramid at all. So, as cool as it would be to have Shaq share some content from the channel, this NBA GOAT pyramid is from someone else. But it did get me thinking. With all of the events that have taken place over the last 4 NBA seasons, I think it's time we update our GOAT pyramid.
Yeah.
So here's the pyramid I made 3 years ago, May 23rd, 2019 to be exact, which means since this video was released, 4 new teams have been crowned champions, 4 MVPs have been awarded, and there has been 3.5 seasons worth.
Yeah, Antetokounmpo going on the GOAT tier list for sure.
Of NBA context
Nikola Jokic. Oh my God, bro. Luka Doncic, bro. Oh my God.
Consider for our new pyramid.
Bro, yes,
now I want to keep this new pyramid at 30 players like our original one.
Okay.
So if I add any players, I
Gotta
unfortunately
take
have to
away.
take players off as well.
Yeah.
And just like with my original GOAT pyramid, there are a few factors I'm going to be considering throughout this process. A player's peak, which I value more than longevity, their accomplishments and hardware, their skill and ability, and even the era that they played in. And of course, just like with my original GOAT pyramid, these selections are all based on my personal opinion. So with that out of the way, let's make some changes to this pyramid. So first things first, I have to make one massive adjustment to the top of this pyramid. Some may agree with it, some may not. But after winning his 4th championship and 4th finals MVP while climbing every all-time leaderboard over the last 4 seasons, LeBron James has earned a spot in tier 1. Because at this point, the all-time
I respect it. I respect it.
discussion has virtually become Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and then everyone else.
Yeah.
I still have MJ as the GOAT, but the gap between MJ and LeBron feels smaller than the gap between LeBron and whoever comes next. So
Hey man, LeBron has earned it. This man has been working his ass off. Even in like the latest series, bro. You're like, bro, LeBron tired. Like, yeah, he is. The Lakers didn't make the playoffs. No, they didn't. But hey, LeBron has been working his ass off for like the past, I don't know how many years.
feel this change was necessary and well earned.
Give it to him.
But that leaves us with 3 players on tier 2. And that just looks weird. So when considering peaks and accolades and impact on the game and every other factor I can conjure up, I've decided to move Bill Russell and Larry Bird up to tier 2. In our original pyramid, I had Magic on tier 2 and Bird on tier 3. But with LeBron moving up, this gives room for Bird and Magic to be on the same tier, as they should be. And Bill Russell, 11 rings, greatest defensive player of all time, there's not much to be said here. Now there's 2 players in particular who have solidified their legacies over the last 4 seasons and have earned spots on tier 3 with Shaq, Hakeem, Duncan, and Wilt.
Okay, he said 4. Curry. Giannis is gonna come up, maybe. Giannis, Curry, Jokic, and I can't think of anybody else right now.
Those players are, of course, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant.
What? I mean, I was looking at KD, but what? He's been playing not so good from what I hear. And I ain't doubting, no. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Since 2019, Steph has proven without a shadow of a doubt that he's the greatest shooter of all time. And after winning his 4th championship and 1st finals MVP last season, he's made the jump into tier 3. Steph's brilliance and consistency season after season has extended his prime past where I think most fans would have ever considered. Now in his 13th season, at
5 years from now, He gonna be tier 2 or tier 1, guaranteed, and unless he gets injured or
30
he decides to retire.
34 years old, he's not only one of the best players in the league,
Bro.
he's putting together arguably the best season of his historic career.
Yes.
And the same could be said for Kevin Durant.
Crazy.
He's got all the hardware, a league MVP,
I don't
2
know about
championships,
KD.
and 2 finals MVPs. But what has bumped Durant from tier 4 into tier 3 is his relentless consistency as a generational talent. Since 2019, he's made 2 more All-NBA teams while averaging 29, 7, and 6. And this has earned him the jump from tier 4 to tier 3. And that brings us
What
to
y'all think about that? Is that KD one a good pick or no?
tier
Let me know.
4, which has some pretty major changes to it. And our first change comes with John Stockton, who gets demoted into tier 5, which puts him at about the 5th or 6th greatest point guard of all time, behind Magic, Steph, Oscar, and Isaiah. Scottie Pippen also got demoted to tier 5. I made this decision because despite Scottie's critical role throughout the Bulls dynasty, his talents as an individual player just don't warrant him a spot amongst players like Oscar Robertson, Karl Malone, and Julius Erving. And unfortunately, Dwayne Wade and Isaiah Thomas get demoted into tier 5 as well. All-time great players. But being in tier 4 means a player is, at worst, a top 21 player of all time. And I just don't consider Wade or Isaiah to be of that caliber. But I would consider them both to be top
Really
30
good.
players of all time,
Yeah,
with similar
really good.
relatively short but brilliant peaks and playoff heroics throughout their careers. And with these changes, tier 4 becomes a barren wasteland with only 3 players. So we've
gotta
got some
bring some
promoting
new
to do,
people, bro.
starting with Jerry West,
Okay.
12 All-NBA teams, Finals MVP, and 5 All-Defensive Team selections with
I respect
career
it.
averages of 27, 6, and 5 a game. The
the NBA
only
logo.
other players in NBA history to achieve these career averages are LeBron James and Kevin Durant. So the logo gets the bump into tier 4. My next promotion goes to Moses Malone. 3-time league MVP, a finals MVP, and one of the greatest rebounders the game has ever seen. Honestly, he should have never been in tier 5 to begin with, so let's put him where he truly belongs. And my last pair of promotions goes to Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin
Let's go,
Garnett.
Dirk.
The individual dominance of both
KG.
KG and Dirk that spanned over 2 decades is matched by only a handful of all-time greats. But
That's
if not
good,
their
bro.
sustained excellence over the course of
You know, I'm glad Dirk's getting his props, bro. A lot of people just slept on Dirk, but he changed the game. He really did.
21 seasons, it was their massive peaks that earned them a spot in tier 4.
KG,
2 of the most
this dude's
skilled,
a dragon,
versatile,
bro.
and imposing big men the game has ever seen. Which leaves us with tier 5 and some tough decisions
gotta
to make.
cut.
There are only
gotta
2
cut.
players that made my original GOAT pyramid that did not make the cut in my new pyramid. And those players are Bob Pettit and Allen Iverson. But with all these adjustments,
damn.
there are now 2 spots open for 2 new players.
Nikola
Of all the
Jokic.
players who missed the cut the
Luka
first time
Doncic.
around, the players who I considered for my new
Luka.
pyramid were Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Giannis.
Nikola Jokic, James Harden, Chris Paul, and
Nah.
Kawhi Leonard.
James, nah, he building houses out there with them bricks. Chris Paul keeps choking. Like, he has a great record. He's gonna go down as probably a Hall of Famer that don't got a ring. I'm just saying, when it comes to, I mean, tier 5, okay, maybe. But Giannis, yes, tier 5. Yeah, I would respect it. Kawhi, I haven't been paying attention to Kawhi. I don't know, is he injured? I don't know what he's got going on right now. But I could also see him being at a 5. He also has a ring. James, no. Chris Paul, sadly, no. I like him, but sadly, no. Nikola Jokic, bro, has been proving his shit. Yes.
Of all the active
But where
players in the
Luka?
NBA, aside from LeBron, Steph, and Durant, these are the only players who even have a shot at making the pyramid. And since my original pyramid
Luka ain't got a
3.5
ring yet,
years
that's
ago,
why.
Nikola Jokic has made 4 All-NBA teams, 3 of them being first-team selections. He's won
2
back-to-back
times
MVPs, he's led the Nuggets to the conference finals, and he's put up 2 of the most historically efficient and productive seasons in league history. It's only a matter of time before Jokic joins the GOAT pyramid. But at the moment, it's just a bit too soon. Now for the case of James Harden,
Oh, okay. Let me hear what you guys to say, bro. If you put James or Chris Paul, I will accept Giannis. I will accept Kawhi. If you put these 2 people on this over Nikola Jokic, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't
I
agree
had
with
to
that
sit
one.
and really think about his potential addition to the pyramid. Harden had
No.
one of the highest offensive peaks in league history, averaging
Bro.
31, 8, and 6 a game over the course of 6 seasons. He's won an MVP, he's made 7 All-NBA teams, and he's just one of 7 players in NBA history to win a scoring title and an assist title. But
Bro was fired. But it's like the last two, maybe 3 seasons, I haven't seen nothing from James. I haven't seen nothing, bro. There was a lot of potential in Brooklyn, but I ain't seen nothing, bro. No.
But where James Harden falls short compared to other players on the pyramid is his performance in the playoffs. He just hasn't broke through on the biggest stage. And the heliocentric offense that allowed him to put up such unbelievable stat lines became a weak point to his teams in the postseason. So for now, James Harden does not crack the GOAT pyramid. The next player I considered was Chris Paul, one of the most complete point guards in recent years. And despite his lack of playoff success, he has managed to completely transform every team he's been a part of. CP3 is a tricky one because, as I touched on before, if you compare Chris Paul to John Stockton, who is in tier 5 on my pyramid, their careers are almost identical. And after CP3's first trip to the finals last season, their overall numbers and accomplishments only become more and more similar with time. Chris Paul had a higher peak, but Stockton's record-breaking ability to generate offense for nearly 2 decades, while being a lockdown perimeter defender, gives him a razor-thin edge over CP3 in my opinion. So for now, Chris Paul doesn't quite crack tier 5, which leaves us with the 2 new additions to my GOAT pyramid. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. Now, since my original pyramid, which was released just before the end of the 2019 season, Giannis has went from a great, young, ascending player to a certified all-time great. In just 3.5 years, Giannis won a championship, 2 MVPs, a Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, 4 All-NBA First Teams, 4 All-Defensive First Teams, and an All-Star Game MVP, while averaging 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists per game.
Easy.
That's a pretty solid 3.5-year stretch for the big man.
Facts.
So I had to add Giannis to the pyramid, and I'm going to put him comfortably in tier 4. And with our second and final addition, Kawhi Leonard is added to tier 5. My original pyramid was created 3 weeks before Kawhi won his second championship and second finals MVP, which led to his greatness stock skyrocketing. Now, Kawhi is a tough player to rank among any all-time scenario because when he's playing, he's one of the greatest players to ever lace up. But over the last few seasons, he just hasn't laced up a whole lot. But it's impossible to look past his 2 finals MVPs and his run as the best two-way player in the NBA. So Kawhi gets added to the pyramid, but just barely, sneaking into tier 5.
And if Luka get a ring, guess who getting kicked off first?
And there it is, my updated NBA GOAT pyramid. And I want to point out a few interesting things that I noticed throughout the process of making this. If we break down the pyramid by position, there are 6 point guards, 3 shooting guards, 8 small forwards, 6 power forwards, and 7 centers featured on the pyramid. I initially thought
I think there's too many centers, personally.
centers would have the largest presence here, with big men running the league for nearly
Long
6
time,
decades,
a
but turns
long
out a
time.
well-rounded, versatile wing has been the ideal archetype for a potential NBA great. If we break the GOAT pyramid down by the decade that each player was drafted in, then we'll find that among all
1980s,
players who
baby.
made it onto the pyramid, 4 of them were drafted in the 50s, 3 were drafted in the 60s, 2 were drafted in the 70s, a whopping 10 players were drafted in the 80s, 5 in the 90s, 4 in the 2000s, and 2 in the 2010s. And since most players peak in the decade after they were drafted, it could be said that the 90s were the best era for NBA basketball, or at least the era that featured the most all-time great talent. Giannis is the youngest player featured on this pyramid at just 28 years old, completely bypassing tier 5 altogether and landing on tier 4 after just 9 seasons in the NBA. This puts Giannis somewhere
9
between
years
the
already?
15th and 20th best player all time. Giannis's ascent amongst the greatest players of all time was pretty quick,
Hard work,
but we've
and
seen
it
a
was
rapid
quick,
climb to
yeah.
basketball royalty like this before. Back in 1996, the NBA announced the 50 greatest NBA players to commemorate the league's 50th anniversary. And despite some backlash on the selection, a 24-year-old Shaquille O'Neal was selected as a top 50 player all time after just 4 seasons in the NBA. The second youngest player
Well, they
that was
called it.
selected for that exclusive Greatest 50 club was Scottie Pippen, who was 31. Back in 2009, sports writer and analyst Bill Simmons released his original basketball pyramid that featured 96 players. At the time, LeBron James was just 24 years old in his 6th NBA season. He hadn't won a league MVP yet, he had only made 1 trip to the finals at that point, and he just hit his peak. But a young LeBron not only made Bill's GOAT basketball pyramid, he was already so transcendently good that Simmons selected him as the 20th greatest player in NBA history.
it, bro.
And
He
after the
called
last
it.
half decade Giannis has put together, he has slingshotted himself onto the same trajectory. Now I have to mention the handful of players that just narrowly missed the cut. Those players were Steve Nash, Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson, Jason Kidd, Bob Pettit, Bob Cousy, James Harden, Chris Paul, Nikola Jokic, and George Mikan. All great players, but when the spots are limited to just 30, the criteria to make the GOAT pyramid is a hefty one. I imagine if we redo this pyramid again in 5 years, we'll see Jokic on here, we might see Luka Doncic on here, or possibly James Harden and Chris Paul.
Bro, I don't know about James, bro. I don't know.
For now, this is my new, and I think improved, NBA GOAT pyramid.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Honestly, let's see. LeBron and the GOAT, tier 1. I agree. Tier 2, I agree. Room for improvement, maybe. Maybe. Tier 3, honestly, bro, with KD, I don't know what the hell KD got going on, bro. I'd rather KD go down and then somebody else come up. I personally think that. Steph, I can't wait to see the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe he in tier 2. I don't know if he's gonna get tier 1. Like, bro, tier 1, he has to get back-to-back MVP and championships in 5 years for anybody to ever say or think that. Giannis, next 5 years, I can see him being 2 tier, maybe 2-1 as well. The future looking bright, honestly. The future is looking bright. Europeans are definitely going to be on this list within like the next 5 years. Like Luka and Jokic are going to be on here, guaranteed. Like I can see it. But what do you guys think about the list? I think it looks really good, honestly. I think it looks fine. I'm just interested to see who's going to, like, in the next 5 years, who is he going to kick off the list? You're going to have to make room for new people. As much as like Shaq has done amazing, changed the game. Shaq, legendary. In 50 years, are we going to have Shaquille O'Neal on tier 3? In 50 years, he might be tier 5 or maybe not even on the tier list. You know what I'm saying? 50 years is a long time. So it's always interesting to see, 50 years, like 80 years from now, is Michael Jordan still going to be considered tier 1? I don't know. Maybe he's tier 2. In 80 years, that's a long time. Yo ass might be too old to even see the new YouTube. YouTube might not even be around in 80 years, bruh. TikTok might take over. You never know. 80 years is a long time. But it's your boy Miss, man. Let me know what y'all think. I thought it was good. I'm going to hit it with a like. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.